Today is Friday, February 21st, and in class today we started by reviewing what we have been doing. In particular, and particularly important is the past few days. We've been on this rolling schedule where some kids are rolling ahead of others. But in summary, we started by generating 10 ideas or more that were of interest to us and were historical events. And then we identified three of those that we wanted to learn more about, and we answered some questions just kind of fleshing out those three ideas about who, what, when, what were the implications, what are the primary resources about this event. And from those three, we've been selecting our research topics. And our goal is today or Monday to commit to a research topic. Some students did that yesterday, some students did it today, and all of them will hopefully be done by Monday. I'm going to go to that third slide. When they are done selecting a topic, they're going to submit their topic through this form. And what will happen is I can see it and give them some feedback on if that's a direction they can go or not. So I'm working on getting that feedback out as soon as possible. We also worked on generating research questions. Research questions are questions that guide our research. The topic that you submitted through this link is turned into a research question. I'm going to go to that document right now, zoom out a little bit. Those questions need to be analytical, meaning talking about the parts of the event and how they work together to cause an impact. They need to be open-ended, meaning their questions have to be, their answers can't be single words or phrases. A good way to make a question into an open-ended question is to ask why or how. And answering those questions has to require considerable research and thinking. Most students don't have those questions generated. Some have one of their questions, their primary central research question generated, and that is where most of them are, or where most of them will be by the end of the day on Monday. Some have done it, but not all. In class today, we also took some time to talk about writing about race and ethnicity. I'm going to pull this up. You can't just access it. Not everybody has access to it because it does contain some language that some people would be offended by. We prefaced it very carefully by allowing our students to know that the language might be offensive and that the intent is not to offend. It's to educate our students on some of the language that sometimes pops up in student papers. The language that we discussed today is not the worst of offensive language. It just introduces students to language that they sometimes hear or see in writing and should not include in their writing for school. We talked about why. It's not a social justice project. It has important implications for that, but the goal is mostly to educate our students about language that we use about race and ethnicity when writing about those things. Some of our students needed that because they're researching historical events where race and ethnicity will come up, and some students didn't need this knowledge right now because their topics won't intersect with race and ethnicity. But for those students that did, it was really handy. I'm going to click on this handout right here so you can kind of see what we talked about. It's going to start off with our teacher notes, kind of what I just spoke about today. That we did mention some offensive language in class, but pretty mild, and we made it very clear that it was coming. We also made it very clear the intent and the purpose in education. And again, that language is not the worst of language. It's been reviewed by our curriculum department and superintendent. It's all good. In the right settings, it was very valuable, which is why we don't link it out. This is a quick summary of what we spoke about in terms of connotation, meaning changing, and context. And then about race, ethnicity, and nationality. We talked about the difference between those three words. And then we spoke about common and appropriate racial and ethnic terms. And students have a copy of this document right here for their reference when they begin writing. So that's what we worked on today. Go back to the main slideshow. Big goal would be to get your topic submitted. Smaller goal would to begin writing your research questions. And if you have time, you might do some reading. Again, most students are done with this. Not everyone has to be done today, but on Monday, that's the date we need that done. And most students have not written all of the research questions. Some have started writing them or have written one that might need some work. You don't have to have that on Monday. And then a big chunk of class today was talking about language that we should and should not use when writing about race and ethnicity. think that's it. If you have questions, let me know. If not, I hope you have a great day.